Good evening. I am going to read for you from a book called The Value of Corruption in a Democratic Society. The book actually will expound a very simple thesis that corruption is necessary for the efficient functioning of a free society. Those listening must learn from these concepts if he or she is to have any hope of leaving something tangible to his grandchildren when he departs for other pastures, maybe not greener. I have studied and taught at universities for 35 years, published over 120 articles in peer-reviewed journals, edited 3 major textbooks. I have read hundreds of books, consulted thousands of news articles, and spoken to a few inebriated politicians. Unfortunately, none of these endeavors have anything to do with the current subject matter. We will study the methods of operation and orderly progression of the day-to-day activities which are made infinitely smoother by a bit of grease. Of course, this book may have limited educational appeal, since the vast majority of free people know the score anyway, already. But for those souls who need some pointers on how to survive, the following chapters will be of service. The mere act of getting from one day to the next day may be an overburdening chore for many people, particularly if they make the mistake of opening their mail in the morning. By the time one discovers the extent of debts, or the response forms that should be filled out, or the number of one's friends in trouble, he can barely find the strength enough for the next coffee break. It is therefore vital never to compound the error by responding to anything that you have received in the mail. If it's really important, you'll be contacted in a more direct manner soon enough. I usually keep 3 separate desk files, organized according to priorities. The priorities are, of course, inversely related to the time it takes for the contents to reach the wastebasket. Therefore, at the outset, I will give all my readers one of my prime rules for making it in this society. Never answer any mail that is not a second notice. Lower priority items can even await a third. This will lead to a fantastic saving of time, an invaluable commodity. Do not be confused by the proliferating complexities of daily existence. They are merely devices that gave birth to a new burgeoning industry, the manufacture of garbage liners. As you will learn, life in a free society is really simple if you don't take things too seriously. Of course, there may be a few poor people who are concerned about their next meal. To them I say, be of good heart. You will soon learn that you are an integral part of the Republic. Assume your role with honor and pride, and above all, adopt a strong belief in reincarnation. This book is called The Value of Corruption in a Democratic Society. The first chapter is entitled The Need for Corruption. Why should a democratic society be corrupt? This is, of course, a philosophical question and needs to be answered at a back table in a bar over a pitcher of beer and some pretzels. The more logical question is, why is a democratic society corrupt? The need for corruption stems directly from the fabric of the democratic society, which creates a constant flow of new laws. By its very nature, the election of a Congress or a Parliament will lead to a profusion of laws and ordinances. After all, it isn't likely that a senator could stand for re-election on the platform that things are so great in the country that no new laws are needed. No, any illusion by the electorate that Congress sat around all day discussing the baseball scores could lead to a rather distasteful appraisal of whether legislators were really needed at all. Therefore, we elect representatives. They have to prove they're doing something to earn their paychecks, so they pass a bunch of laws. One might add at this point that most of these representatives are lawyers to begin with, leading to an unpleasant feeling that the passage of all these laws may represent a conflict of interest. After all, they are uninterpretable by any standards except to the remaining partners in the congressman's law firm. Laws serve a number of purposes. In addition to giving the appearance that Congress is working and providing employment for a large segment of the legal profession, by their very nature they are restrictive. Things usually work out all right until laws are passed. After all, we arrived here through thousands of years of human experience without laws. Then we have a whole host of regulations about usage, restrictions, directions, new definitions, etc., which in the long run tend to screw things up. Corruption, therefore, serves as a means of circumventing these laws and getting things back on the right track. An embarrassing question comes up. If the representatives really wanted to do a good job, why don't they pass laws that don't do anything? Answer. The motives of the corrupter are pure and noble, to facilitate a better life for everyone in the society. But for the corruptee, although he has an integral role in the procedure, he pockets a bit of cash with the deal. This is not all bad, since it guarantees that only fine minds and talented people will apply for those jobs that offer the best chances to be corrupted, and it relieves the tax burden. But one wonders if some laws aren't passed in order to provide an opportunity for corruption to occur. Judging the system as a whole, however, one must admit that it works well. If it didn't, all the lawyers would have to become doctors, and God knows we've got too many of them floating around already. Therefore, in summary, A, the people have to be represented in government or they get very upset. B, the representatives have to do something for a living, so they pass laws. C, corruption is necessary to bypass the laws so that society can function properly. Some of you may ask who I really am. Be certain that I'm not going to tell you, except that after the publishing of this book, I have been in hiding for the last 20 years. I hope nobody finds out who I am. I'm going to tell you a story now to illustrate the points that we just made. Sam Cohn hated furtiveness. As he quietly climbed the dark staircase, he thought of his intense efforts all his life to be honest, open, frank, and explicit with all of his business acquaintances, wife and children. He remembered his wife's stinging glances as she drank her gin and tonic when he told his 16-year-old daughter that sex was not all that bad. This elicited an immediate demand for an extension of her curfew to 2 a.m. If she gets knocked up, I suppose I'll get blamed for that too, he thought. His wife tried to counter the argument by indicating that sex was not all that good either, which made Sam flinch. However, the gleam in his daughter's eye reasserted his role as the authoritative figure in the household. But Sam had been that way since childhood. He was a two-sewer man at stickball, and as such was charged with the responsibility of choosing up sides. He was always fair and sure to take the worst player on his side. This was usually Artie, a future doctor and Stuyvesant graduate who had trouble seeing the ball in spite of his thick glasses. Artie later became a surgeon. A small 60-watt bulb lit his way to the top of the stairs. "I'm finally reaching a stage in life when I can relax," he said. "And this crap has to happen." He felt the stab of pain around his hemorrhoids. "Oh," he groaned. "What shit." Sam was in the importing business. Whenever some manufacturer was in trouble, Sam was there to buy them out and place the goods where they could be easily turned over. Business was booming,